6, we need to sort of lead the conversation, ask open-ended questions. Again, we need to put themselves in their shoes. When dealing with the shy and quiet coworker, we need to put ourselves in their shoes. Make sure we don't misinterpret shyness for aloofness. Best to use one-on-one small group environments to draw them out of their shells. It's best to encourage them to join work committees and organizations. We need to develop trust and friendship with the shy and quiet coworker wherever possible. We need to help them prepare for tough situations. Better to ask open-ended questions and sort of lead them into the conversation. We need to wait as calmly as possible for a response. Best not to rush to fill in silence with our own conversation. We need to plan enough time when talking to them. We need to plan enough time to allow us to wait with composure. When they finally open up, we need to be attentive and at the same time watch our own impulse to gush. So that'll just push them right back in their shell. We need to flow with tangents. They may lead to something enlightening. And end off the meetings with food for thought and establish another meeting. Again, we need to wait as calmly as possible for a response. We need to make sure we don't rush to fill in silence with our own conversation. We need to plan enough time to allow us to wait with composure. When they open up, we need to be attentive and watch our own impulse to gush. It's best to flow with tangents because they may just lead us to something enlightening. And it's best to leave them with food for thought and establish another meeting. These are some of the more common tactics, the more effective and constructive tactics that are deployed when dealing with the shy person, the shy or the quiet coworker. Next, let's take a look at dealing with the over-controller. How would we deal with the over-controlling coworker? Number one, we need to free ourselves mentally from being suffocated. Number two, we need to know what's happening to us and develop skills to deal with it. Number three, it's best to provide an awful lot of feedback. Number four, we need to make sure we know our own strengths and limitations. Number five, we need to be properly and respectfully assertive in all interactions. Again, we need to free ourselves mentally from being suffocated. When dealing with the over-controlling coworker, we need to free ourselves mentally from being suffocated. We need to know what's happening to us and develop skills to deal with it. It's best to provide a lot of feedback. We need to make sure we know our own strengths and limitations. We need to be properly and respectfully assertive in all interactions. We need to be as proactive as possible. We need to outthink them. We need to write things down in front of them. We need to make sure we don't argue without supporting evidence. And we need to make sure we don't let them entice us into unprofessional behavior. And finally, we need to avoid the temptation to micromanage them whenever we get the chance, because such passive-aggressive retaliation serves no healthy purpose. Again, we need to be as proactive as possible. We need to outthink them. Make sure to write things down in front of them. It's pointless to argue with them without supporting evidence. We need to make sure that we don't let them entice us into unprofessional behavior. And we need to avoid the temptation to micromanage them even when we have the chance, because passive-aggressive retaliation like this will never serve any healthy purpose. These are some of the more common tactics, the more effective and more constructive tactics that we can use when dealing with the over-controlling coworker. Let's take a look at the indecisive staller. How would we deal with this personality? Number one, we need to make it easy for them to tell us about conflicts or reservations. Listen for indirect words or hesitations or omissions that might provide clues. We need to assist them in making decisions by examining the facts. We need to find out if in their perception the problem is us, and we need to reassure them that it isn't. And we need to constantly emphasize the importance of quality work. Again, when dealing with the indecisive staller, first couple of tactics that we can use is, number one, we can make it easy for them to tell us about conflicts or reservations, what's stopping them. We need to listen for indirect words. We need to listen for hesitations or omissions that might provide us clues with what's stopping them. We need to help them make a decision by thoroughly examining the facts together with them. We need to find out if, in their perception, the problem is us, and we need to reassure them that it isn't. And it's best to emphasize the importance of quality work. We need to give them support after they make the decision. And if possible, we need to make sure we keep the action steps that follow the decision in our hands. We need to watch for signs of abrupt anger or withdrawal. We need to make sure we try to remove them from the situation. And most importantly, we need to maintain some control of the important tasks. Again, we need to give them support after they make the decision. And as much as possible, we need to keep the action steps that follow the decision in our own hands. We need to watch for signs of abrupt anger or withdrawal. We need to try to remove them from the situation. And finally, we need to maintain some control of important tasks. These are some of the more common and more constructive methods used when dealing with an indecisive coworker. An indecisive coworker who constantly stalls before getting anything done.